Good afternoon, everyone. This is Bob Dole, president of Solution Driven Wealth. Today is January the 19th, 2023. On behalf of everyone at Solution Driven Wealth, to wish you a very happy and healthy start to your 2023. We have some important legislative changes that took place late in 2022 that we want to review with you today. The prior act, called the Secure Act, was passed during the Trump administration in 2019. However, there were some insufficient elements of that legislation. Secure Act 2.0 attempts to address some of the shortfalls and inadequacies of that legislation. The new legislation allows for penalty-free rollovers from 529 accounts. So in a situation where maybe you don't have a child that's going to college anymore, you can actually transfer that money into a Roth IRA. Previously, 529 accounts had to be exhausted and only used for college education expenses. There are, of course, some limitations to the utilization of this strategy. Additionally, there'll be no required minimum distributions from Roth 401k plans. There are also enhanced catch-up contribution elements added to the Act. The big other change that affects small business owners in a very, very large and, in my opinion, positive way is the fact now with simple IRAs and SEP IRAs, you can now make Roth contributions. With typical simple and SEP contributions, you get an upfront deduction for any contribution you make. When you pull that money out at retirement, you pay full ordinary income tax on those distributions. The Roth, if you're familiar with it, you receive no upfront tax deductions for these contributions. However, the account grows entirely tax-free. And that means that when you take the distributions, you pay no income tax. Other elements of the Act that provide for some important changes is that for small business owners of a certain size, there'll actually be an incentive to set up a retirement plan. And if you do set up a retirement plan, which will be required, there'll be automatic matching contributions required. So again, this is very important to understand the size of your organization and when and how you'll have to make those contributions on behalf of your employees. Additionally, there'll be some extra assistance provided for student loan and if you can tap into retirement accounts to pay off student loans. Congress, by this act, is very concerned about people outliving their money. Retirement ages in this act are going from 72 under the current law to 73 and ultimately to age 75. The other issue that Congress is attempting to address is the utilization of annuities. Annuities simply provide, in the general sense, of a lifetime income stream to the recipient, one that you cannot exhaust, meaning it wouldn't matter if market fluctuations occurred, you would continue to receive your stream of income. When Congress is telling you that they're doing this in the private sector, what it's also telling you is they're certainly not going to provide for this with a new government program, such as an enhanced Social Security program. They're putting all of the onus on employers, individuals, to take care of their own retirement and to plan adequately. So that should be a cowbell ring in your ear to say, hey, they're not going to help me. I have to take the onus, take the reins of the sleigh, so to speak, and chart my own course rather than relying on government to help me. So the other big clarification that occurred just this past fall from the IRS involves inherited IRA accounts from a non-spouse, meaning in a logical circumstance, you might have inherited an IRA from a parent, an uncle, aunt over the last number of years. Specifically, this regards inherited IRAs that you received in 2020 and beyond, so to current. The IRS had not clarified if recipients of those accounts had to take an annual distribution. In fact, even though the account had to be exhausted in 10 years, the IRS had not clarified annual RMDs. And in most circumstances, practitioners, accountants, and even the recipients of those accounts were under the impression that they could wait literally until the 10th year and then exhaust the entire account. That is not the case. The IRS clarified that issue, and they say now that you have to take annual required minimum distributions beginning in 2023 and beyond. The account still must be exhausted in the 10th year, but the idea of delaying taking any distribution until the 10th year is not something you can do anymore. Also, There are no penalties for the years that you did not take a distribution prior to 2023. So for instance, if you did not take a distribution in 2021 or in 2022, you are not obligated to pay any penalty and or interest for the lack of those distributions. However, any future years, there will be penalties applied for those years that you do not take a distribution. What's important to recognize about this, you are not on your own in figuring this out. We have all of these accounts flagged in our systems, and we're working diligently on making those calculations for you. This is something that an advisory does, a fiduciary does, and that if you were on your own, it'd be difficult to do this on your own. But we're here with you to do these calculations, to make sure that you take out the required distributions that you should be, so there's no penalties involved. We very much appreciate the relationship that we have with you. It's a deep and personal one. We have many exciting events, new things to report to you this year. Thank you as well for your time, your consideration, and your loyalty to our firm. Have a great week.